Hi, this is Mark Fern from the Honeyriders, and you are listening to the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to yet another interview here at the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus. Yes, this is the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus. My name is Lou Lombardi, a.k.a. Loudini. The website is loudinirockandrollcircus.com. Go there, pop your name and email address into the little form there, and never will you ever, and I promise this with my whole heart, you will never miss an episode with one of these amazing artists that we feature. Tuesday, Thursday, new interview every Tuesday and Thursday. Every Saturday, new music podcast with my wonderful and talented, absolutely stunningly gorgeous co-host, Miss Katie Simone. So you guys do not want to miss that. That is LoudiniRockandRollCircus.com. I would like to give a shout-out to my long-time and long-suffering sponsor, Positively Pittsburgh Live magazine. PPLmag.com has been a big supporter of the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus for a couple of years now, so we're really grateful to have them. It's Pittsburgh's first internet radio, TV network, online community, and business directory. You can sign up and get emails with the audio and video created by the members of the community, and these are businesses that are giving you content about all kinds of different things about health and fitness and finance and business. It's a very great place to get a lot of cool information. So you can get coupons, save money. It's awesome. If you have wares to peddle, it's a great place to kind of be seen by a lot of different people. So you might want to start your own magazine page there where you can do things like upload your own podcast like we do. They get about 1 million unique visitors each month, so it's a pretty serious place, so you definitely want to check it out. That is pplmag.com. Now, I've got Mark Fern on the line with us today from the band the Honeyriders, and Mark he's a fellow Pittsburgher here, so I'm really glad to have him on the air with us. Mark, welcome to the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus.
Thanks for having me, man.
Okay. Mark, why don't you give us a little bit of background? Because that accent that you got there does not sound like Jim's down there from over there in Homewood or something, you know?
No. No, hopefully it never will either. So,
Mark is not a native of Pittsburgh. He's a transplant. Mark, go ahead and give us the Reader's Digest version of how you ended up, how you got into music, and how you ended up coming to Pittsburgh.
Okay, well, the music story and the Pittsburgh story are parallel, but I'll go with the music first.
Sure.
My sister got a acoustic guitar for her 8th birthday, so I would have been 11 or something. So that's a long time ago. So after I'd done playing with whatever I'd got for Christmas that year, I picked up this guitar and this play in a day book, and I figured this can't be that hard. And it was. But as my playing to this day will show you, I'm not quite grasped it yet. But that was I kind of fell in love with the instrument. It made me. I've been a fan of music, but never really thought of myself in terms of being on the other side of the listening part. So that was my introduction to actually playing an instrument. I'd played piano, but it was classical, and I think I segregated those two things in my head. That wasn't something I did for fun. It was something I did because I had to go. I did it at school. You know, it was just another class.
Right.
But when I picked up the guitar, I thought, this is kind of neat. And then I was fortunate enough to be, or unfortunate enough to be not quite old enough to get into the shows of the original punk acts. But I managed to get to see quite a lot, like the Buzzcocks, the Stranglers, Susie and the Banshees, all that era of, so when I was like 13, 14, 15, 16, that, my early teen years, that kind of was what drove me. So I was a quote-unquote punk rocker for the longest time. And and I still dig that stuff to this day, but that's kind of what set me off. I like the melodies, I like the simplicity, because a lot of the early punk stuff, I think, gets written off as it's not what's punk now. You know, it's not, it wasn't. It was angry, but mostly structured. And the bands that made it, you know, like the Stranglers, or had some longevity, like the Clash, you know, went on to become way more than, you know, the punk was gone completely at that point. They were just good rock bands,
right?
You know, with great story writing, and you know, it didn't have to be brilliant playing. I really appreciate, you know, like the Joe Satriani kind of just master of his instrument thing. That's never going to be me. I mean, so I don't try and work that in. I played with a ton of cats who can play that way, and it's you know, I feel pretty lucky to have been able to do that. But I'm a simple, strummy singer-songwriter kind of guy when it boils down to it.
So what brought you to the States and to Pittsburgh?
Well, back when my original job, I'm actually an industrial electrician. So I worked in a lot of steel mills back in the UK, and the company that I worked for at the time was in partnership with some American companies, and they were buying up steel mills when the whole steel downturn took hold in the, I don't know, early 80s maybe, late 70s, early 80s. Is when it really started to go downhill. So I came across with a British company, and I actually wound up in Homestead when all the Homestead stuff was shutting down, to help disassemble the gear and ship it back to the UK and the rest of Europe. So I basically came straight from England to Pittsburgh via Cleveland for a couple of months and Homer, Louisiana for about 2 weeks, which is, if you've ever been lost, go there. That's like being lost. It's just the strangest place. It's not even on a map, I don't think.
Oh my goodness.
So
you come to the States. When do you end up staying here? How do you get into music here? What ends up happening? Start putting bands together. What did you start doing?
Well, I asked around and said, and a couple of people. I went to a couple of local shows, and they said, "Oh, you know, put stickers and signs up at some of the local music stores." And I think it was pianos and stuff out in Blownox.
Yeah.
I went and put some, you know, one of my little, you know, tear the strip off the bottom of the paper kind of deal. So I had one put up for a while, and so I put mine up and took a bunch of other people's. And I don't remember who called who, but I ended up hooking up with a couple of guys three guys, a singer, a drummer, and a bass player, and they were looking for a guitar player. So I joined that band. It was nameless at the time, started writing original stuff. It became quite apparent that the singer wasn't into it or wasn't very driven. He had a kind of loose idea of what he wanted to do, and it didn't seem to be what the other two guys were into. And I don't think that became obvious until we actually started writing and playing. So they kicked him out and made me the singer.
I gotcha.
So the foreign guy was taking away American jobs.
See how you foreign guys are.
I know, with the words, man. So we were a three-piece. We chose the name Deadly by Desire. That was a song that I brought with me from England, song title, and the lyrics seemed to fit what we were trying to do. So we were relatively successful, relatively popular, and then about a year or so in, we added a keyboard player, and he was a pretty talented guy, and we started experimenting with slightly peculiar arrangements, you know, the occasional odd time signature, bigger harmonies, and so that was the real Deadly by Desire, as I remember it or refer to it, was when we were when there was four of us. So, but that was fun. So that was at the time, like let me see, the Affordable Floors, the Sponges, when Rusted Root first started out. That was about that time, and then that band, we just kind of grew apart with like what we're trying to do. So I was then recruited to join another bunch of guys, most notably Dave Brown, who is the guitar player now for the Gathering Field.
Right.
So him and a couple of his buddies recruited myself and my old drummer, Ben, and we formed a band, and that band was called Like Whoa. And I think we had, with that band was together for, I don't know, 3 years, 4 years. And I think we got a lot of critical acclaim around here for songwriting, and our audience was usually other musicians came to see us, which was kind of cool. But of course, other musicians are as poor as we were, so we didn't make a lot of money. But come on, let me in, man. I'm in a band.
Well, so let's fast forward a little bit, and because you have you did some other stuff. Like let's talk a little bit about Jack to My Friends, because you have a really great song and a cool video up on YouTube. So tell us a little bit about Jack to My Friends.
So that was, let me see. So I'd done nothing but some solo stuff and the occasional small project for quite a while. And I just wanted to get back to playing out with a band. So again, I recruited the same drummer from before and a couple of guys from the Sponges who I've been friends with forever. And we recorded a bunch of songs. We put an album out in 2006, I want to say. It all blurs. And we played out a lot on that. But that band eventually morphed into, I think, what happens a lot in Pittsburgh. You know, there's only ever so many original music places in town, so most of the rest of them want you to play covers. So we eventually morphed into a cover band, which wasn't my intent. But I mean, I enjoyed just playing, so I didn't care. But that wasn't, again, we didn't start out that way, so that started to get old after a while. But the video you're referring to, I wrote that because, of course, having a non-American accent, I often get the question like, why are you here? What are you doing? How did you end up in Pittsburgh? And more often than not, the why Pittsburgh question was done in kind of a derogatory way. It was by locals. It's like, why'd you come here? Because it's like everyone here is trying to leave or something, and I'm the only one that likes it. So there was enough of that. It's kind of tongue in cheek. But that was a fun song, and then I wanted to raise its visibility a bit. So and this was a time, I think 2009. When the G20 summit was in town. So I got some friends of mine who are big on video shoots, video editing, just follow me around town for a day. And I basically just mimed along to a boombox wherever we could set up. Yeah. And we tried to hit a bunch of relatively iconic places and views around town. And then just strung it together with a bunch of stills that I'd taken. And that got some pretty high-profile notice. Again, at the G20 summit, there was a lot of outdoor activities, and I was asked to come and present that. There was like a block party downtown. They blocked off like 9th Street and Penn. There was this huge block party, and they showed the video. And it was really cool, and I got to meet some really, really fascinating people because you have to ask. You don't just ask for permission. Sometimes you need to get some certificate or certified piece of paper that says you're allowed to perform at such and such a place, like right outside PNC Park, for example. You'd think you could just take pictures, but the minute you start shooting video of an official-looking nature, they want you to get permission. Yeah. So, but through that, and asking people for permission, I was amazed at the people that just came out of the woodwork, like, hey, we hear you're doing this project. We'd love for you to shoot, in our building. And I was like, I got it was like amazing response. but I only had a day to borrow these guys. So it's like, how many places can I hit, in like 8 hours, 9 hours before we get wiped out? So probably missed a couple of good opportunities, but again, met some really cool people. And that was called I Like It Here, and it's out on YouTube.
So you left the city for a little bit, and then came back. And when you came back, you formed, or you got the idea of the Honeyriders. This is where we are now in the story, and we're gonna play one of your Honeyriders tracks here in a minute. But tell us a little bit about the Honeyriders and what they do.
So yeah, I had a job out of town for about a year, and then I came back, and I thought I want to get back to writing original stuff, playing original stuff, and have get a band together that can play like my back catalog, from all of the other original bands that I've been in. I have a bazillion songs, so even when you cold the ones that don't stand the test of time too well, I still had like 3 hours worth of music.
Cool.
And so I just called up some buddies of mine and said, hey, so I'm trying to do, and they were down with it. So a few Craigslist searches for a call to arms for the band.
Yeah.
I grabbed a bunch of guys, so we're a 5-piece. Again, that band was formed specifically to play my back catalog, and the tune that you're going to play is on the album that was from I think a year and a half ago now. We're working on putting the finishing touches to the second one. Although I'm trying to decide whether to actually print CDs or not, because they're nice to give out, but I don't think anybody has a CD player anymore.
Well, we're going to talk about that. But before we go there, let's give the kids at home a taste here of the Honeyriders. This is When Jennifer Sings, because this is a really cool song. Crank this up. It's When Jennifer Sings, the Honeyriders on the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus.
Pale white girl puts a beat-up guitar case on the ground. Pulled hair back, won't stare back, cigarette in her mouth. Granola, not older than 23, maybe 24. She smolders, her shoulders rise and fall as she hits the floor. What happens next, I can't really describe, but it's what this song's about, so I gotta try. Then Jennifer sings, my God, it must be an angel, must be an angel. When Jennifer sings, see Jennifer's wings. Then Jennifer sings, stuck against a dark guitar. She strums chords and strums more, every inch of a star. The room's still, we've all chills, perfect note after perfect note. She gazes, amazes, where have you been and where will you go? I didn't think I could be so moved, but I've been wrong before, and once again it is proved. Then Jennifer sings, my God, it must be an angel, must be an angel. When Jennifer sings,
Okay, Mark, that's a catchy little number there, buddy.
Thank you, sir.
You have a real knack for this. Tell us a little bit about your songwriting approach. Do you start with lyrics? Do you come up with guitar stuff first? Kind of, how does it get rolling for you?
Yeah, I normally start. I like a turn of phrase. I like a cool turn of phrase. So I'm constantly I have a text pad file that I keep adding, funky 3-word combinations to. I'm like, ooh, I like that play on words. Maybe that's the English in me. But mostly it's I'll just be noodling on the guitar, and once I get some progression or chicky thing, whatever it is that I'm playing, I'll go, oh, that's kind of cool, and I'll just beat on it for a bit. And more often than not, I'll hear a phrase that fits what I'm playing. So a phrase of words. So I'll write that down, and maybe typically it's something that I'm like, well, I can't write a song around that. So, but yeah, it's a relatively loose process. But I like sing-along-y stuff. I like the big choruses. I like lots of harmonies. I like unusual harmonies. I overdub a lot of them myself because I can hear some peculiar variants in there. Drives my drummer crazy. Because I make him sing these strange parts live, and he's like, "Where'd you come up with this?" But
Well, the record sounds really good. So, guys, if you go to thehoneyriders.com, and the album was called Tautology. That's TAUTOLOGY. You can actually buy the album right there and stream some of the songs and get a taste. Now, your new record that you're working on, you said you're putting the finishing touches on. Now, are you guys self-produced? You working with an outside producer, or how are you doing it?
No, it's all me. Me in my garage. So, over the course of time, I've collected together some pretty nice gear. So yeah, everything that album included, Tautology, was recorded in my garage, and mixed in my garage and produced in my garage. And I got a buddy from way back in the Deadly by Desire days who is a really top-notch studio engineer, and I basically ship off the final mixes of my stuff to him, and he masters them for me. Okay.
So he does mastering. But you do your own mixing?
Yeah, I do everything else. Yeah.
That's so time consuming. A lot of people outsource that too. But I feel like I know what I want to hear, so I don't know if I'm ready to give somebody else, even though it's really time consuming. It's more boring.
Right. And I'm a big fan of the big wall of sound kind of approach. And I think it was Sting or somebody said, you're never done with a song. You just decide to just leave it as is. You could always add another part, add another guitar, something or other. And I'm terrible at that. I'll sit and noodle on it. You obsess.
Right? You're going I want that guitar tone to be a little bit different, or I want that, harmony over here, or drive you crazy.
Yeah, I listen to other stuff and to get a sense of where my stuff fits in the grand scheme of things. But I'll sit there and I'm like, oh, I could do this. I'll hear another harmony part, on the chorus, and I'll sing it, and before you know, I have 8 and 10 parts.
Yeah. And you've got to mix all that.
That's right. You got to mix yourself. Mix all that and then convince the drummer that he has to sing at least 3 of these parts.
Grow 2 more heads and you can do it.
Exactly.
So where are we now? So what's the new record going to be like? Is this going to be sort of in the same vein as Tautology? It is going to be all over the musical map again, okay. Certainly. There's a couple of tunes in there that are probably a little more
on the angry side.
Okay.
But more angry as like Radiohead can be noisy.
Okay.
I mean, it's not like I'm not, you know.
It's not Rage Against the Machine.
It's not Rage Against the Machine. It's not some kind of black death metal or something. But a lot of the songs, was at least 3 of the songs on the new album, the lyrics are about the current state of the political theater out there. You know, I'm just globally shaking my head at the whole thing. And of course, the Brexit thing that just happened, I'm shaking my head at that. So it's maybe there's a song coming out of that one too.
Just you never know. You know, so
Nope.
So you do pull inspiration from current events and stuff like that when you sit down to work. Do you sit down and say, I want to write a song about this situation, or does it just sort of kind of just flow with what you're doing on the guitar or you know, the riffs or whatever?
Yeah. It more sticks like that. I mean, but again, depending upon what I've just, you know, been watching CNN or Bloomberg or whatever, you know, on TV, and something, if something annoyed me that I saw, or I'm like outraged by whatever, and then I go start playing my guitar, naturally some of that will, you know, it affects you. It affects your entire being, and it's bound to come out in some ways, not always, but no, I don't sit down and write, you know, I'm going to write a love song, or you know, I just noodle around and come up with a structure and then start adding things to it.
So tell us a little bit about the, before we wrap up here, what is the Honeyriders live show like, and where can people check you out?
Okay, what is our live show like? Well, we're all really old, so we don't move around a lot. You know, I know the Rolling Stones are a lot older than us, and they move around a lot more, but they have a bigger stage typically too. So I'm not quite sure what to do with myself if I don't have a guitar, you know, around my neck.
Yeah.
So, you know, we have we try and have a lot of fun with it. You know, we're not taking ourselves serious. We take the music seriously, but we don't take ourselves seriously. You know, so people are there to have a good time and to enjoy themselves, not be preached at. You know, maybe made to think about some things. If you can, you know, introduce a subject to them that maybe they'll go away and do something about. That's kind of cool. But in the final analysis, you know, our job is to entertain, I feel. So I try and focus on the entertainment aspect of it. You know, laughing with the crowd, having fun. And as far as when we're playing, let me see. We're playing at some winery out in Irwin.
Well, why don't we do this? Why don't we just send people to, what is it? Just your website? Is that the best place for people to see where you're playing?
Yeah, or the Facebook page or the Reverb Nation page. But if they go to the honeyriders.com website, there's links to all of that stuff right there. But all of the gigs are listed on Facebook, Reverb Nation, etc. So yeah, you can find out where we're playing.
So that is honeyriders.com, and I just pulled it up, and there is there's all the links. You can just pop them all, and you can stay in touch and see where these guys are playing. Great musicians. Love the last record. Really looking forward to the next one. Mark, is there anything else you'd like to add before we wrap up for the day?
Come and see us. And if you are also in a band, drop us a note, because we're always looking for other folks to play with, other venues to play. So yeah, come on down.
Check it out, guys. That is theHoneyriders.com. And Mark, thanks a lot for hanging out with us today. Stick around for a second. We want to do a little bonus round after I finish the podcast, okay?
Sure thing, man. My pleasure.
All right, guys. You've been listening to Mark Fern from the Honeyriders. That is theHoneyriders.com. Go there. You can check out their last record. They got a new record coming out. And Mark is just a very tuneful songwriter. You're going to find yourself singing along and jamming along. It's a lot of fun. You definitely want to check that out, thehoneyriders.com. You are listening to the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus. That is LoudiniRockandRollCircus.com. And thank you guys so much for tuning in. One more shout-out to my sponsor, Positively, Pittsburgh Live Magazine. That is PPLMag.com. Check those guys out. Do everything they got going on there. You'll enjoy it. If you love great music, if you love bands like the Honeyriders and a lot of the different acts that we've been featuring here, you want to go to supportindierock.com, where we are gathering our efforts and putting together more programs to do even more promotion for bands like the Honeyriders and the different acts we've been featuring here. It's our mission to get this great music out to even more people. The bands can't do it all on their own. They're busy writing songs and making great records, so it's up to us. It's up to us as a community to work together and to get this music out there. That is supportindierock.com. Guys, you have been listening to the Loudini Rock and Roll Circus. That is LoudiniRockandRollCircus.com. My guest today was Mark Fern from the Honeyriders. That is thehoneyriders.com. Guys, thanks so much for listening, and we will catch you on the next podcast.